Let me do this. Can you hear me now? Does it come through your phone? Okay. That's not working. Hey, everybody. I don't know if you can see that, but it looks like I'm having a little difficulty here with my camera. So if you want to see me stuck in motion, there I am, right there. All right, well, let's get this going over here. See if we can't figure this out a little bit. Guys, I'm so excited to be with you. This is going to be such a great masterclass. Really honored for the chance to be with you again. We're having some audio difficulties here, but overall, just super excited to be with you. I'm going to go ahead and share my slides, and we're going to kick right into this thing because it's time. So guys, welcome to the masterclass series. This is the Job Interview Mastery Masterclass. I see that we have already 7 viewers in here. Please feel free to say hi and jump into that comment section if you're in Facebook or if you're in YouTube. Just go ahead and drop it in there if you can, so I can make sure that those comments and reaction sections are working as a matter of fact. And yeah, guys, we're so excited to be with you here today. We already had a wonderful masterclass on how to create a powerful future in physical therapy in February. You won't want to miss the next one. The next one that we are doing is how to negotiate your salary. Can you imagine that? That's going to be a really cool one. So please make sure that you attend that because it will be absolutely amazing. All right, guys. So I want to just go over who our winner is this time around. We want to congratulate Maddie Williams. Maddie, thank you for registering for the event. You are the official winner of our business book bundle. This business book bundle is a huge leg up. I wish this was something that I had earlier in my career. It's going to show you how to lead and do a great job as you grow inside the company that you're going to work for and hopefully one day own. So Maddie, what I need you to do is go into the instant messenger in Facebook and message me directly and give me your address, and I will make sure that that we can get you that business book bundle. All right. So today we're going to be talking about the interview mastery skills. This is a huge thing, and I'm super excited about it because we have a very special guest. But for those of you who don't know me yet, first of all, welcome and thank you for taking the next hour out of your life to be a part of making a big decision in the right direction of your leadership. Most physical therapist students are so burned out, they are not in a position where they're willing or able to really take on more knowledge and learn. But not you. You're here for a reason and you're growing. And so thank you for being here. Before we get started, please make sure you're present. Turn off and silence cell phones. Get some notes ready because we've got a jam-packed masterclass for you that is going to be super educational and helpful. And for those, again, who don't know me, my name is Will Humphreys. I'm the founder of the Healthcare Business Academy. This is our YouTube channel. Please make sure you go subscribe to that. If you're in this group, it's because you've already joined Next Gen Physical Therapy. This is our Facebook group that's focused on helping physical therapy students and new grads take control of their career and do what they love best and not have to worry about all the things we didn't get trained in school. My personal stand is that we are taking a stand to make physical therapy a leader in the global medical field. This is something that's really important to us, that we aren't just some service that gets referred out to, but that we are actually a standalone thought leader in medicine. So I am excited to introduce my guest because this isn't a masterclass I'm teaching by myself this time. I've brought on someone very special. Her name is Kay Connor Israel. She graduated from the University of Kentucky in 1995. She has so many specializations and certifications, I couldn't even write them in. This is somebody who knows everything from vestibular down to some of the most specialized treatments in the country, literally. She is certified in electrodiagnostics, which is EMGs and diagnostic ultrasounds. For those of you who don't know, there's less than a couple of hundred people in the country. Couple of hundred people in the country who have this very unique specialization. And in addition to all that, she's part owner and partner in Springfield Physical Therapy Diagnostic Solutions. So guys, without any further ado, we are super excited to bring in, hold on, let's see if I can get my screen working first. There it is. Let's turn off the timer and let's bring in Miss K. Super excited to bring in, hold on, let's see if I can get my screen working first. Okay, can you hear me? There it is. Let's turn off the timer and let's bring in Miss K. Super excited to bring in. Hold on, let's see if I can get my screen working first. Okay, there it is.
Okay, great.
Miss K. Super excited to bring in. Hold on, we got a little feedback. Kate, can you turn off your phone?
Okay, great.
Super excited to bring in. Hold on, we got a little feedback. Kate, can you turn off your phone?
Turn off my phone?
Yeah. Can you hear me
then
now?
I can't hear you.
So you can't hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me at all? I'm guessing not. Yeah.
If I turn off my phone, then I can't hear you. Is that better?
Can you hear me at all?
Oh, now I can. Yes, I can hear you. We're good now. We were. If I turn off my phone, then I can't hear you. Is that better? Can you hear me at all? Oh, now I can. Yes. There's a huge delay. I can't hear you at all.
Yeah, we practiced this before, everybody. And it was
if I turn off my phone, then I can't hear you. Is that better? Can you hear me at all?
Okay, what about now?
Weird. I can't hear you at all.
So you still can't hear me?
If I turn off my phone, then I can't hear you. Is that better?
Okay, what about now?
Weird. I can't hear you at all.
So you still can't hear me? Let's see if I can hear this.
We're on a loop. We're on a strange loop.
Yeah. Maybe turn off your phone. Let's see what happens if you do that.
We're on a loop. We're on a strange loop.
Yeah. Maybe turn off your phone. Let's see what happens if you do that. Okay. So, Kate, can you hear
I
me?
feel like we just relived this. Okay.
Hear me or not hear me? Okay. What about now? Okay. So, Kate, can you hear me?
I feel like we just relived this. Yes.
Hear me or not hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. What about now?
I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hear me or not hear me?
I can hear you now.
What about now?
I can hear you now. Yes. I can hear you now.
What about now?
I can hear you now. Yes. I can hear you now.
I don't know what's going on. We practiced this before and it worked really well. So,
okay.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I can hear you.
So you can hear me now.
I can, and I just turned the phone off, so
okay.
Gonna have to go
can everyone at home hear us? Can you put in the comments whether or not you can hear us at this point? Zero audio, says one person, a Facebook user. What about now? Can you guys hear us at home? Is there any audio going on there? Still no audio. Go to Stream. Time to go to StreamYard. Yeah, so people can hear us now. We figured it out. I don't even know what happened here. But guys, welcome. Okay, let's get right into it. We're fine. We're up and going. Okay, so such a pleasure to have you in the channel, and I'm really excited for you to be here. Let's quickly, you've been a PT business owner for how many years now?
10 years.
10 years?
10. Yes.
My gosh, that's amazing. And so as now that you've interviewed probably how many people over the last 10 years, do you think?
Oh, 50 or 60 total. Yeah.
That's
You
amazing.
know, yes, I've done, and before owning a clinic, I was in management in other facilities. So I've interviewed people for years.
Okay, so interviews are something that you've done over and over again, and obviously you're a well-respected business owner in the PT community. As we go into this interview mastery class, obviously at some point we want to pick your brain a little bit, but when you and I were preparing for this, we were having a lot of fun talking about like the most common responses we see from students and new grads to the 5 most common PT interview questions. And so what we'd like to do is we would like to kick it right off with a role play of what Kay and I normally experience when it comes to interviews. So we're going to do a little role play. I'm going to be the boss. I'm going to be the owner of the company. Kay is going to be a PT student or new grad who's coming in to interview for the first time. We're not going to go through a full interview, but we're going to go through the top 5 questions, and we're just going to jump right into that. So, Kay, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Well, Kay, I'm really grateful that you spent some time interviewing with me, and I just have to kick it off right away with, why'd you become a physical therapist?
Oh, I really like helping people.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Okay, good.
Yeah, it makes me feel good.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you like to help people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tell me, Kate, what are some of your strengths?
I'm a really hard worker. I show up to work on time, and I'm really good with people. People like me.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool. I love to hear that you're a good worker. I have to ask, since I've asked you about your strengths, why don't you tell me a little bit about your weaknesses? What are some of your weaknesses that you have?
I'm not sure. I guess maybe I'm still working on time management.
Okay.
Yeah.
Time management, what does that mean?
Like how to balance your patients and documentation. Like when in my clinical, I had a really hard time keeping up with what Mrs. Smith did and being able to write that note in a timely manner. It was really difficult for me.
Okay. Yeah, I can totally appreciate that. All right. So if I had to interview people who you went to school with, like your professors and your clinical instructors, what would they say about you?
They would probably say that I'm upbeat and always friendly and have a good attitude.
Love that. Okay, good. Awesome. Well, we're really excited about growth in our company. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Gosh, I haven't thought that far ahead. I'm just thinking about getting through the exam.
Totally.
Yeah, I just want a good job that I can go to work and be happy and help people.
I love it. All right. Well, guys, end of scene. That's a very traditional interview that Kay and I see. That's probably in the 90 percentile of most interviews. Would you say that's fair, Kay?
Yes, absolutely. And I would say 90% of employers interviewing you are going to ask those questions.
Yes. I understand that you don't like to ask a lot of those questions. Yeah, so why is that?
In my opinion, that is a basic vanilla interview. Everybody should be prepared to answer those questions better than I did, in my opinion. When I'm looking for the best and brightest in my practice. I'm not looking for the mediocre therapist. If I'm going to find the best and the brightest, I have to have an exceptional interview process.
Yeah.
So I've really worked on developing that.
That's awesome. Well, I can't wait to hear more about it. I'm going to ask the people who are watching on Facebook right now or on YouTube, do you guys, what was something that you noticed in that interview that was good? What was something that was workable in that case? And then obviously, what were some of the things that you think could have been better? I have the chat here coming, so I'll see you guys as you input things. What are those things? What's something that you saw that you liked, and what's something that maybe you saw could have been better? So while they're typing those in, Kay, tell me a little bit more about what it is from your end that you want to do in the interview. What is it about your interviewing process that serves you in helping you find the right fit for your company?
Right. I look there. There are five. Well, there are many areas, but I can really the five most important things. If I were to give somebody just learning how to do an interview well, if I were to give the best advice, if you can figure out the answers to these five things, you can maneuver your way around the hardest interviews and really excel.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think for me, the first thing is to be prepared to communicate why you are that best person. I've already said I'm looking for the best and the brightest. I'm
Yeah.
looking for people who really are growth oriented. How are you going to communicate that to me? Think about that. You know, those are words you're not used to saying about yourself. You're used to being a student, and you're unsure of your techniques and your skills, and rightly so, but there's still qualities about you that set you apart from the others, and I want to know what those are.
Yeah.
So be prepared to answer those kinds of things.
I love that. And I think when you're talking, what speaks to me is this thing called authenticity. So many times when I'm working with students and new grads, when they're coming into the interview, it's not that they're trying to be fake, they're just really nervous. And I actually don't
Right.
even mind when they're nervous. I think for me, what really gets in the way is that they just don't know how to talk about themselves. And what you're saying, and I agree, is that there has to be some degree of confidence as they're speaking about their experience. Like we need someone to tell us what we don't know about you. And I think oftentimes we construe that as being braggadocious or arrogant, but I have never had anyone come across as arrogant or braggadocious in an interview ever. But I have had
Right.
countless people show up as unclear. So don't think of it as being, for those of you who are listening, don't think of it as being as like a bragger or being someone who's going to be like put people off. Think of it as providing clarity. You can be humble about your greatness. And by the way, I think
Right.
another thing that I know students in particular get in trouble with is they're so hyper focused on their skill set. Like they're worried that it's going to come clear that they don't know how to be a good therapist coming right out of school. And here's the trick, guys, we don't care. Like your skill set is something that we as owners are going to help you develop. We want to know everything else. So if you don't have the greatest manual skill set, it'd be weird for us to have someone say, yeah, I'm the best manual therapist you'll ever meet, and they're within their first year of school. Come on.
No.
But what we do
Yeah.
want is like you said, here's what makes me the best. I'm determined. I'd never give up. I'm going to figure things out. I care about a team. Those are called the soft skills. We can't train you on those. Those hard skills are the ones that you've got to do. So I did have a Facebook user comment that answers to questions were genuine, but too general. I love that. Everyone is a hard worker / people person. What makes you different? Great comment. Love that.
Correct.
In
That's
that
exactly
group.
right. That's basic. That is a basic answer.
Very cool. Well, all right. So
Yeah.
so the big question is, Kay, what are the 3 to 5 things that you would want the people on this call to know about, like interviewing and how to master those?
Right. I think you need to go into an interview knowing what is your dream job. Okay. You're not looking for just any job. You shouldn't be. You should be looking for the
Oh,
job that's going to fill your passion. It's going to fuel your passion. So take some time. I know you guys are busy, but take some time and really dream about what it is, where it is. If you did a clinical in a neuro rehab and you thought, you went home energized every day, maybe that's your dream job. Maybe it's not outpatient ortho. It's good to know that. It's important to know that, or you're going to be like thousands of other therapists and be burnt out in 6 months.
yeah, I love that
Um,
concept, Kay, of it being too low of a bar. Like
yeah,
PTs, you said it best in the interview in that role play. PT students are just so hyper focused on passing the boards that they kind of just assume that taking care of their employment will be a great problem to have tomorrow. And it's so much better than not being able to pass the boards. But what they don't realize is that passing the boards isn't worth it. If you
right,
find yourself working in an energy passion sucking job, which there are
right,
plenty of out there, the fear
right.
shouldn't be failing the boards. The fear should be passing the boards and finding a crappy job. That should be the fear.
Right, right. I think also that you always need to know who you're interviewing with. If you come to my company for an interview, I would expect that you've at least looked me up online, see what we're into, see what kinds of things we're doing, see how many therapists already work here, what kind of community are we in, what kind of a company are we, what's our culture. You can find out a lot about us just by looking us up. And it's good to have that information on the interview so it looks like you're interested in me, not that I'm just the only one interested in you.
Yeah, I love that. Research is a key thing. So my question to the Facebook community and the YouTube community, let me ask you guys, what is the type of research that you do? How do you do research before you go into a job interview? We'll address that based off of the comments that come through. But yeah, what are how do you research your future employer before you step into that?
Right.
By the way, I had Kay while we're waiting for a reply. I had an experience today. I've done 8 interviews this week for my billing company, and
Wow.
I'm constantly interviewing. And so with almost 30 employees now, the growth has just been something we've been working hard to keep up with. But this interview today came with this young man. He was in his mid-20s. He showed up in a suit and tie, which blew me away for a remote interview. And
Right.
he knew all about my YouTube channel. He knew all about, like, he's like, hey, Will, this is what I know about you. I'm guessing this is what you care about. Is that how? Because that's what it comes across. Is that right? And there wasn't a single thing that he said that wasn't already there. So let's see if I can add to the broadcast. Oh, it didn't show. There it is. Let's put it over here. Facebook user, website, and social media posts. That's what we see there. I don't know how well you guys can see that. But someone posts, yeah, website for sure. The website should also contain like the purpose, vision, values of that company. So you come in loaded with questions for them so that you're able to get really clear as to what they're about. Social media posts, totally. The vast majority of private practitioners aren't going to have any. I would say that. Even today's world, most of the private practitioners, they don't have a social media post. Let's
That
add this one to
surprises
the...
me.
And then another person comments, former or current employees. I think that is truly one of the best ways for you to get an idea.
That is a really good one.
Yeah. How
Really
do your people do that for you? Do you think they've ever gone, Kay, and like talked to future or current or past
Absolutely.
employees?
Yes, and vice versa. I think some of my current employees go and find therapists or professionals and say, you need to come talk and interview for this job we have. We have a position available. You need to come talk.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
So it works both ways. Yes.
Well, what's your next piece of advice, Kay? I'm curious.
My next piece of advice would be you're going to be asked about specific experiences, to share some experiences of either previous work. It doesn't even have to be PT related. Also, and or previous experiences in your clinical rotations that were fantastic or were not so fantastic. Don't be shy. Don't be shy here. There's not a right or wrong answer. It's your experiences. That's how we get to know you. We're not trying to trick you. Share. Bring out some stories. Let us hear some stories, and they can be funny, poignant. Just share those experiences that we're asking for. Again, we're trying to find out who you are, not what your clinical skills are, but who you are as a person.
Isn't that interesting? I'm just curious though, how deep do you go in the clinical skill set if it's a student or new grad?
I don't ask at all about clinical skills. I don't. Look, if you're a new grad, I'm assuming we're going to be molding you. I've got a team that will mentor you and get you where you need to be skill set wise. I'm not worried about skill set.
Got it. Love that. Guys, I hope for anyone who's a student or new grad, you're just taking a big breath. That might be a little bit different if you've been out of school for 3 to 5 years, because we aren't expecting to have to mentor you quite as much. But even then, I know from my experience, when we brought someone on board who had been out for 5 or 10 years, I wanted to know how they treated. I wanted to care about like the styles they use, because there is such a difference in every type of style that it needs to at least mirror, a team approach on some level. So, yeah,
Absolutely. I would even say that if somebody's coming to outpatient from who came out of school and went straight into skilled nursing for 5 years,
yeah,
to me that's a new grad. They don't have a skill set for outpatient.
That's true.
They don't.
It's a relative experience. Okay, we've got a comment from an owner. I can tell you that. I wish this was a little bit lighter. But do you guys see the this comment here? Okay, do you see that on the screen?
I can't see the comment.
So I've got it here broadcasting. It says, someone says, we want to know, this is an owner, we want to know that you are able to have a conversation. Like they're saying, as part of this interview process, we want to know that you're capable of conversing. Why is that important, Kay?
Oh my goodness. If you can't connect on a personal level with our patients, you don't need to be in our clinic. Not in my clinic. To me, your ability to connect on a personal level is much more important than your clinical skill set. So, yeah, I agree with that owner. That's absolutely correct.
Yeah, it's all about the personality. It really is. The personality matters so much more. I would even be really happy if someone says, you know what? I'm a new grad. I'm just beginning my learning. I'm a good studier and I will work hard, but my biggest gift is I love people and I love it. I love knowing that I can make them feel safe and happy and overcome the emotional challenges of their condition. If someone said that to me, I would already be thinking, how much can I afford to pay this person as much as possible? Because that is a rainmaker. That's a physical therapist that's going to have patients lining up at the door to come in because
patients
their personality.
Won't even know that their clinical skill set isn't fantastic. They won't know.
Yeah, totally. Why is that? That might surprise some new grads. Why?
They automatically, this person that says that kind of thing, that patient is gonna trust them immediately, and whatever they say is what they're gonna believe and how they're gonna interpret their care.
Love it. All right, that's so great. Yeah. What other advice do you have, or what else do you have? If you don't, that's fine. But what else do you have?
This is the last one that I have, and this one to me is actually the most important because I hire and we run our clinic based on our values. Okay, culture matters. Culture really matters. We have our values on the wall. Everybody knows what our values are, but we walk and we talk our values as well as a company. Every single employee, we have them very well defined. And so you come to me and if I'm interviewing you, I'm going to ask you what give me 3 personal values. If you don't know what your values are, you need to start thinking about it because it's really important.
What is a value, Kay?
For instance, my company, our top value is excellence. We're going to be the best. We're going to be the best educated. We're going to seek out to be the leaders in our industry, in our area. The second one is integrity. We're going to be honest. We're going to do the right thing, even if it doesn't always make us the most money. We're going to do the right thing, what we think is the right thing. Third is teamwork. We're going to help each other. We're going to help each other grow and work through the day and get through life. We're family oriented. And then our last one, we call it heart, but I define it as being the light. Let your light shine. We all have that belonging to something more than ourselves, right? Yeah. And letting that show is important. And it's important to us in our company. And so if you come in here for an interview and you can't give me some core values that make you who you are, I'm not going to hire you because you're not very self-aware.
That's amazing. So guys, listen to that. That's an experienced leader really showing you how to stand out. If you were a part of the masterclass last month, you'll remember I talked a lot about this thing called a personal brand. And the brand's foundation being comprised of a purpose, vision, values. The value piece, the values is the present. It's how we make decisions. It's what we stand for. It's what we stand against. Tying in recent topics into this discussion in the Ukraine, they were interviewing, the leaders who are just like relentless about not giving up. And they were talking about, I remember they were interviewing one of the leaders and they just said, our values prevent us from retreating. And so when we think about our values, we're thinking of words or phrases that define what we care about. Like in my billing company, for example, taking a stand for integrity is a big thing for us in an industry where things get taken advantage of. We know at the end of the day, if there was some high-hanging fruit that no one else got. We want to make sure we get that, not because our owners and partners need it, but because we know at the end of the day what kind of job we did. And that's what it's about, those values. And we're gonna give a demonstration here in just a second of how you can incorporate your vision, your purpose, and your values. Because listen to the top five questions again. Why did you become a PT? Again, if you saw the last masterclass, that's asking who you are, what drove you into becoming a physical therapist. That's your purpose, right? Is your purpose to be the light in the lives of others? Is your purpose to uplift through service and humor? What is your purpose? Give it some language, and you can answer that question in a way that will blow their minds. Then when it comes to your strengths and your weaknesses, they're just talking about your values, right? What are your values?
Right.
And then lastly, your vision, like that five-year goal. Where do you want to go? So remember, interviewing is all about alignment. It's all about, are we coming from similar backgrounds? Do we care about the same things in real time? And are we looking to create the same future together? And so, yeah, I don't know. Kate, let me ask you this. Have you ever had people, how often do you have physical therapists and physical therapy students ask you questions in the interview? Does that happen often? And if so, how balanced it relative to the questions you ask?
Rarely does a new grad ask questions in an interview. Most that I have interviewed that are just coming out of school look like the deer in the headlights, afraid to ask questions. And I can be intimidating in my interview because I have lots of questions. And I think sometimes they're just exhausted by the time we get to the end. but seasoned therapists, now they'll ask questions. Absolutely.
Love it.
They'll ask me questions.
Okay. Well, guys, it's time to role play. We are going to reverse things. Kay is going to be the master boss. I am going to answer the same 5 questions, but I'm going to give him a little bit more of application of what we want to see from you guys when it comes to these things. So I want you to pay close attention, and in that Facebook chat, mention things that you notice that you think are powerful. Point out things that could have been done better. Like, no one's perfect at this thing. We're just trying to give you a contrast so that when you're going ready into your interviews, you have more of an image and a visual of what it's going to look like for you to kill that interview. So, all right, let's go ahead, Kay.
So, Will, first of all, congratulations on reaching this wonderful place of seeking your first employment as a professional physical therapist. Tell me a little bit about why you decided to become a physical therapist.
Yeah, thank you for asking. I can tell you that for me, I am passionate about being a physical therapist. This has been a dream of mine. And the dream started when my sister got into an accident. It wasn't a big deal. It's not like she was hospitalized for a long time, but she broke her arm. And I had to drive her, being the older brother, I had to drive her to the therapist. And so sometimes I'd sit there and watch. And what really amazed me about that experience was watching my sister. When she started regaining her function, I saw her spirits rise. And when that happened, I thought, man, that's something I want to do. I want to be able to create an experience where someone else's spirits can be lifted and they can get more functional. So that's something I'm super passionate about as a therapist, is wanting to continue to uplift others and help them find joy and increase function.
That's really a moving story, Will. Thank you for sharing that. That's quite impressive. Yeah. So, you've made it through most of your schooling. You've gone through some clinicals now. What would you say are your strengths at this point?
Well, I'll tell you, my strengths are my values. And my values, I guess that you could say I chose some of those, but really those were instilled in me as a young man. So I'll tell you, one of my most important values is work until the job is done. That phrase to me is how I describe my dad, who used to get me up on Saturday mornings and made me do yard work. And I hated him. I hated him so much for getting me up on a Saturday to go do yard work. But man, it taught me the importance of a good day's work. Like I remember seeing sometimes like, wow, that was really neat that the yard looked that way because of what I put into it. And so that was one of the first values I was taught, which is now a strength of mine, because I've noticed that not everyone cares about getting the job done right until it's completed. Another strength that I have is understanding the power of leveraging teamwork. I played sports in high school, and as a member of the baseball team, our coach, this wonderful guy, he would tell us how important everyone was in every play, whether or not they even touched the baseball, right? Like, so for me, I just remember that, like, when it stopped being about me, I got more relaxed because I had people who had my back, and it made me want to make sure I had their backs as well. So, those are two of my core strengths. But then there's other things that I know I can tell you along the way. I love connecting with people, and going back to, why I became a therapist. I think that's a real strength of mine, is that I get so much personal satisfaction out of seeing people recover. And I'm a new grad. I don't, know how to do it perfectly by any means, but I know how to make people feel comfortable.
Great. Those are some wonderful strengths. Those will serve you well as you move forward. What are some areas that you think that you need to improve upon?
Well, straight out of the gate, my skill set. Like, my ability as a therapist is just beginning. I'm a hard worker, and I study really hard, and I was a good student. I am. But that is hands down one of the key areas that I need to work on. And I think for me, to being really just transparent with you, sometimes I fake it till I make it a little bit too much, where I don't want other people to think that I'm not a good, I don't want other people to think I'm a bad therapist. So, sometimes I try too hard. And I think a lot of times that looks like I'm just nervous. And so I think that's something that will get better with repetition, but I'm really looking for some guidance in that. And, leadership. I've never had a physical therapy job before. And I don't know how to become a leader. I know how to lead, right? I've been a leader in other capacities, but what does that look like in a therapy setting? I don't know. So,
right.
Yeah, those are the two things that scare me a little, to be honest, is knowing how to treat better and like making sure that I'm meeting expectation. And so as long as I get good support, I'll at least be calm enough to be able to communicate those things clearly.
Great. And if I could talk to some of your fellow classmates, sort of about who you are and what you're like to be around every day, what would they say about you?
They would say I'm a lot of fun. And they would say that I work as hard as everyone else does, but sometimes that I, honestly, they'll tell you that sometimes I'm a stress case when I get overwhelmed. And that's just being honest. Like, if,
right.
As long as I'm not overwhelmed, though, I can have a lot of fun and get a lot of work done.
Okay, great. That's great. Have you thought about where you might want to be in 5 years? Do you have a goal in mind?
Yeah. So I don't really know the path necessarily. Like, I don't know today, long term, do I want to own my own practice or be like a clinical director? Those things excite me, to be honest. My dad was a business owner, and I think maybe I could do something like that either in someone else's company. I also get really excited about upper extremity. So there's something about specializing in hand and wrist that's really like curious for me right now. So I'm not really totally sure which direction I want to go, but like whatever I do, I want to be the best at. And so my vision is to become really invaluable to the community and the therapist that I'm working for. Like, I want to be that person that everyone just feels a little bit better because I showed up that day. And I know that's going to be hard. I know a lot of PTs burn out, but yeah, I think again, if I have the right leadership and the right mentorship, I know I can make that impact.
Yes, I know exactly how that feels. To make that person feel better just because you were there that day. That's a great feeling. Never gets old for me.
That's great.
Yeah. So those are, that's a little better, not even a little, it's a lot better of an answer for all of those questions, I think.
Yeah, thank you. Well, and guys, I gave you the answers that, like, those were just like me pretending things. Obviously, the work, Kay hit it earlier. The work comes from researching the employer, but spending just as much time as researching yourself. Like, Socrates, know thyself. if we can know who we are, and sometimes knowing who we are means knowing where we don't know who we are. Think about my answer on the vision. I didn't say I'm going to be an owner of a company in 6 years. I said, I like this, I like that, I'm passionate about this, but in the end, here's the outcome I want. And you can do the same thing no matter who you are, no matter what kind of experience you have. We have this Facebook user who just commented during my portion of it. They said, love the honesty in the areas of improvement. And one thing I want to say, from your point of view, Kay, what was that like for you? I mean, I know you can't ever not think like a business owner. So
Right.
What would that have been like for you to hear someone speak transparently about their weaknesses like that?
To me, I think, wow, this guy is super self-assured. He is being super vulnerable right now, being honest with me. That's part of my core value system. So that's, I'm thinking you're going to fit my culture nicely because you're willing to be honest and vulnerable, even when it's very stressful and difficult. It's super important, but it takes a lot of self-assurance to do that.
Yeah, and I think first of all, a lot of employers ask this question, and I don't even know why they ask. I think a lot of employers ask just because it's like a checklist that they're told what to look. This is what you're supposed to ask. If someone ever asks you guys, what's that?
That's why it's on my basic list. It's basic.
It's basic. So if you get that question, and a lot of people ask it, that question has enough capability to completely blow their minds, almost more than anyone, if you're really clear on who you are and you know how to feel comfortable about talking yourself. And these things take practice. It is really something to do, practice interviews with a potential employer. It can make all the difference in your world around learning how to master these things. So yeah, thank you for that comment.
Yeah. I would like to say, because it just popped in my head as we're going through this, and yeah. I'm putting myself back in the mindset of being a PT student, getting ready to graduate, and I was, to make it in PT school, to get into PT school, and to do well in PT school, you have to be competitive, right? You're gonna win. You're gonna win. You're gonna beat that test. You're gonna win at everything every time. Well, getting the most job offers is not a win if you don't know what you want. You can have 15 job offers and they may be offering you the moon. But if it's places that are going to be toxic and energy sucking and you're going to be burnt out in 6 months, that's not a win.
Okay, I love that. You have this amazing team, and it really is. I've been very privileged to get to know your company. You have one of those cultures where everybody loves everyone. Like legitimately, they'll take a bullet for each other, even if it's just a non-lethal bullet. They'll take a bullet for each other. Like, how do you find how do you find those people? Like, how do you find those people? Because that's, I would tell you the people on this call, those are those people because they're taking the time to learn and like really be the best they can be. So how do you find those types of people out in the world?
Well, we reach out in multiple ways, but lately, because of the generation that we have now, we do a lot on LinkedIn. We're trying to connect with people on LinkedIn on a regular basis. Dana, particularly in my company, takes the lead on that simply because I don't have a lot of time to do a lot of social media connecting. So she's connecting with people all over the place and having conversations with different therapists in, whether they be 10 years out from school or getting ready to graduate. We're open to conversations and helping young people grow. It inspires me to develop people. So that's one of my passions. And so literally I have a string of 4 people in different phases. The latest is a girl who's still in high school, and she comes in the mornings and afternoons as a part of her educational job share program. And she works, but she's going to PT school. I've got a gal getting ready to graduate PT school that I met her as a sophomore in high school, did her therapy on her shoulder and said, you need to be a PT. And she is, she's getting ready to graduate. So I foster growth anywhere I see potential.
I love that. Well, you can't see this, but someone I'm putting on the screen. Great advice, Kay. Someone just posted on the Facebook group, which I love. Yeah, it's a wonderful thing, what you're saying. And I've known you to be one of those mentors that, anyway, whoever gets to work with you, that's a huge benefit. One of the things I love about your practice too is that you guys are specialists in electrodiagnostics and ultrasound and EMG. So you have your outpatient orthopedic clinic, and you do this other thing that is totally state of the art, and it's changing people's lives. As we wrap this up, I would love to hear from you, like if the students or people who watch this broadcast in this master class, if they needed to get a hold of you, how would they do that?
I think it would be best. You can find us on LinkedIn either at Springfield Physical Therapy. If you look up Springfield Physical Therapy, you'll find Dana, and she's my co-owner. And an amazing
leader to boot, by the way, Dana.
She's fantastic.
She is an amazing part of the company. She's the back office to your front office.
Yeah, I couldn't succeed the way I have without her. So here's hats off to Dana. But you can email me. I'll give you my email address.
Awesome. I just realized too how silly this is that we're in the Facebook group. We only do this for Facebook group members. So if anyone wants to reach out to you, you're in the Facebook group. They can just look you up and message you directly in Facebook.
I love to talk to people. I love to connect and talk to people.
So if people wanted to ask you more questions, would you be willing to talk to them about career advice or even just, helping them? Oh man.
Yeah, especially if you want to talk about diagnostics. I'm super pumped about diagnostics and physical therapy. That's the next gen. That's like pushing us forward as a practice.
Yeah. It's truly groundbreaking what you're doing there. And you're not just like some people are working in electrodiagnostics, you are seeing tons of patients in that realm. So I would argue that people who work with you are there. Another thing that's really interesting is that you have this full team. You don't even need to hire people. But I think you were telling me you would be open to possibly mentoring another person in the next few months if they were interested. Is that right?
Yeah, we could certainly look at that.
Well, let me tell you guys, if you ever have a chance, if you're looking for work, they're in Kentucky. Doesn't matter if you're from that region. That's a company worth working for. I want to give you guys my personal validation. Anyone who works in that company is going to have an amazing experience. And I love the fact that you were able to come and help me teach a few concepts. Guys, this is just scratching the surface of this thing called landing your dream job. Your interview skills is one of the coolest things that you can master. It's where that first impression is met, and it's where, if you're negotiating salary, this is where it all begins. And it's not that you're trying to blow people's minds because you want to make more money. It's a matter of blowing their minds so that you have the best options. And yes, later it becomes a negotiation tactic. But let me tell you, I am really grateful to have had you on the call today, Kay. Any parting words before we wrap things up?
I would say if you guys or yourselves or know anybody who you think is interested in learning more about diagnostics in physical therapy or as a part of practice of physical therapy, send them this link, let them see this video, send them my information, find a way to connect us. I'm happy to discuss it with anyone who wants to talk about it.
Yeah, thank you, Kay. Kay, once again, in the top fraction of 1% of best PT owners I know. And I love your team, what you've built. So, Kay, thank you, guys. What did we miss? Put it in the Facebook chat. We're going to go ahead and wrap up this masterclass. But put down any questions you have in this chat. We will get back to them in that chat and help you get where you want to go. So, guys, thanks for your time.